All right, okay, now we'll start. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Free Bin. It's the Toledo Public Library's podcast. I'm Harrison.
And I'm Cindy.
Who's this guy?
Well, I'm not sure how to introduce him. I could introduce him as the magical Mr. B. I could introduce him as Santa Claus. Or I could introduce him as my husband, Brett.
All three would be true.
That's right. They would all be true.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah, because we're headed into Santa season.
The holidays.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it does start before Halloween. Halloween counts as one of the holidays.
Yeah, I
doesn't it?
know. Perhaps the funnest holiday.
And the shortest.
And the shortest holiday.
Yeah.
Seems like we get a week of Thanksgiving and 2 weeks of Christmas, but Halloween, we're done.
For me, Halloween season runs from November to October, and there are intermissions for other holidays during that 12-month Halloween season.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
See, I always have my 31 days of my favorite Halloween movies. I start on October 1st, and even if I have to stay up to like 2 in the morning because I don't get home, I'll still do them.
That's a challenge. I've never done that.
It is.
Yeah, I don't.
Sometimes I cheat with the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror.
Yeah.
Because it's short and sweet, but it's still Halloween.
So which movie, do you have one movie you watch on Halloween proper, or do you rotate that out?
I do. Young Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do watch that.
And if possible, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Yeah.
If I can fit both of them in. Those are my two. They're Halloween to me.
Yeah.
Because I grew up as a monster kid. Saturday mornings, creature feature. While my mom and dad slept in after working all week. I was my cereal, and I think I ate cereal for all 3 meals on Saturday, even though I probably had other choices. But yeah, I just love to watch those old black and white Universal monster movies. I just love them.
They're very soothing.
For horror.
For a horror film,
right,
yeah.
Right.
Like, it's nice to just
It's
have
an interesting
going.
adjective for horror.
Well, yeah, but it's kind of like, it's memories. They're kind of, they're not bombastic in the way other films can be. It's kind of like having a Halloween, like a Christmas fireplace. It's like fireplace for your home for Halloween.
There you go. No buckets of blood.
Frankenstein back there.
Right.
Yeah.
And not a lot of special effects, so, it's
So-
just kind of truly Halloween-y action old movies. I like them too.
So who's your favorite Universal monster out of the
Chorus.
classics? Who?
Chorus.
Oh.
The Mummy from the sequels, or not direct
Right.
sequels even, I suppose, but the follow-ups.
Yeah.
Played by Tom Tyler and then Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
I love Cars. We'll probably talk about that in a future episode. I've been
Right.
plotting an episode
All right.
in which I'll talk way too much about Cars.
Yeah.
I'm a Wolfman guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even into the modern, that's the one I choose.
Yeah, we do a lot
Yeah.
of werewolf
So,
movies.
I love werewolves as a monster type. They're probably my favorite. But it's like somehow it seems like there are good werewolf movies, but they're always like not quite the perfect, exactly the werewolf movie I want. Like there's other ones that you can be like, that's the perfect vampire movie. That's the perfect zombie movie. And it seems like werewolves don't have like, other than, I mean, the Wolfman started it all off.
Right.
But moving forward, like there's not like I don't know. I feel like I'm still waiting for like my perfect werewolf movie. That's probably a subjective thing.
So the thing that I like about it is after doing a little bit of research and understanding, especially what Lon Chaney Jr. went through to become the Wolf Man, just all of the stuff that they let him do to his body so he could make that transference. And then, of course, my favorite guy turning into a werewolf has got to be American Werewolf in London.
That's my favorite too.
That came out when I was in college.
Such a good sequence.
I actually, not that much of a ladies' man, but I actually went with 2 girls in college to see American Werewolf in London, and I snuck a pair of those plastic fangs with me, and they were a little nicer than the regular ones kids get. And after the movie was over, And one of the girls was driving, the other one was in the front seat. I was in the back, and finally one of them asked me, "What'd you think of the movie?" So I put in the werewolf teeth, and I went, "It was great." And they freaked out. One of them literally beat the snot out of me over the seat, smacking me. Yeah, that was a great college memory for that.
Yeah.
Some of the more modern, well, I don't like the Slash Festival necessarily, but
Slasher movies,
a really well-made movie.
I think I've watched enough of those that I feel like I've hit the really good, or at least the entertaining ones. And when you get toward the bottom of the barrel on slasher movies, they tend to be not real interesting viewing.
Yeah, I think they work their way through all the plots pretty fast that are available.
Yeah.
So you start to see a lot of the same thing. Okay, guy has a chainsaw, something bad's going to happen.
Or there's a cabin in the woods that's abandoned and awful, and something's
we did like
happen.
that movie Cabin in the Woods, though. That's one of our favorite modern ones. Not because we like to see Thor, you get attacked by monsters, but...
There's some gratification in that.
Yeah.
So we kind of diverted from our original intent, but
Sorry.
Let's run through our announcements really quick. So as Sophia would say, what did she say? Breaking news. I can't remember. I'm not a very good Sophia. So we have coming up this Saturday, which is the 18th of October from 1 to 3, we have the Super Smash Brothers tournament downstairs.
Whoa.
We got some signups. If you want to sign up, that's great. You can do it in the library, but you can also come in, or you can give us a call and sign up. We just need to get the tournament roster set, but you can come anyway. We can fit you in, I think, this time around.
Yep. We'll work out the brackets once we see who shows.
Right.
And we have all the characters unlocked.
Yeah.
Thanks to
some young man who came in and just sat there and played the game. We had a couple of them come in and do that. 3 or 4 kids that they just played through the game and played and played and played until we got all the characters unlocked. So that's kind of cool. You can pick who you want to play.
Yep.
There will be prizes. That's always good to know. Also, October 24th, which is a Friday, I believe, is our trivia night from 6 to 7:30. We do need you to sign up for that. And you can have a team from 2 to 4 people. You are competing for the honor, the glory, bragging rights, and cool prizes. So come and share your totally unimportant trivia that you know, because everybody will know something.
It's all important.
Right. And then on that, a week from Saturday, the 25th, we are doing a Create Your Own Mask activity with Larry and Dina, who come every year and do this, and it's amazing. They bring all the materials. You come and create your own mask that you can wear on Halloween, or you can just display in your home. We have lots of other stuff coming up, but that is the basics. So also come and see me at the homeschool conference down at the Newport Rec Center. I'll be there. Come by and say hi, spin the wheel, and win a prize, and learn about the library. So that's all I got.
Nice.
For announcements.
Sounds like a busy schedule.
It is busy at the library. Always busy. Oh, and we do like to check out books on occasion.
Yeah, sometimes we'll do that.
That's good too. So I brought the beverage today. And it is ginger beer called Cock and Bull. Since 1946, the extra ginger soft drink, and Moscow Mule Mixer, which I am not familiar with Moscow Mules, but apparently it has the recipe on the back. So you have a shot of vodka, half a lime juice, right? Ice cubes, and then this ginger beer. And you drop it in a squeezed half a lime and stir gently.
Usually served in a little copper cup.
Oh, okay. So this is the ginger beer. I am not a huge fan, so I'm going to give you guys more than I give myself.
Yeah, I can just...
I know you can only have a little bit.
Ginger beer. It's great as both a cause of and cure for heartburn.
That ginger, yeah.
Smells like medicine.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
It's really gingery to the extent that you really taste the ginger as a root vegetable, not just a spice. It really is a full
It really does, yeah.
ginger punch in
Catches
the
your
teeth.
catches in the back of your throat,
Yeah.
gives you a little buzz with the bubbles.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a burn.
Yeah, there's a burn.
Yeah, there always is. It's pretty heavy ginger.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what they
Because-
say. It's, yeah. Ooh. It's mostly sugar. I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so 35 grams of sugar for a serving, which is the whole thing. So just, Anyway, that's Cock and Bull.
It's a pretty typical ginger beer
Is
taste.
it? Because
Yeah,
I'm not.
it is.
I don't drink it typically. So
It's not too far off from what's the other, like Reed's. Except Reed's is a little fruitier because I think it's more of a juice-based type of
Right.
thing. And this is just, it's all ginger. Yeah, I'm still feeling it in there.
Yeah, it's stuck in my throat.
Yeah.
It definitely, Moscow Mules are one of those things that's like, it's a nice after-dinner thing, but you're not going to be chugging those. It's
No, not if you want your
it's
throat to
burning
stay.
all the way down. Somebody out there probably does, but
Well, let's see. Moving on. The reason we invited Brett to be on the podcast is that it is National Magic Month.
That is correct.
And we're not talking fantasy magic like woo-woo. We're talking...
Or the card game.
Or the card game. We're talking magic
or the
like,
Anthony Hopkins movie.
Yeah. No ventriloquism.
Right? We're talking illusion. And I am, that we invited Brett because he's a magician and he's been a magician for a long time. And I know quite a bit about magic just by being married for the last 40 some years. But we decided to bring him in because he brought in a display, which you should come down and see. There's a lot about Houdini, but there's also some more vintage magic tricks and things that you might be interested in just taking a look at. So we're going to kind of turn it over to Brett a little bit to talk about magic, maybe how he got into it, and then also Houdini a little bit.
Yeah. Let me jump in real quick and define this National Magic Month thing.
Okay.
So the reason October was chosen is because it's the Society of American Magicians, which is probably one of the largest groups of magicians that's international, all around the United States and every other country, just a huge group of people. That was started by Harry Houdini. And when it comes to, for some people, they remember when they were born. You see, today is the birthday of Jimmy Stewart or whatever. But for Houdini, they celebrate the day he died. And that was October 31st. So because that is the last week of, the kind of the Halloween season, that whole week has always been National Magic Week. And then some people who have gone ahead and had that decreed by their local government or national government have determined just the whole month would be National Magic Month. Now, I do have to say that it's also National Pizza Month. So, hey.
Do the two of those go together?
Oh, they do totally. Yeah,
That's a good
pizza before
birthday
a
party.
magic.
Man.
That's right.
Magic and pizza.
That's right. I've done it many times. I've been at many magic and pizza parties. But you know what I was thinking? I was thinking maybe we should do a little magic to kick it off.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk a little bit about Houdini.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do magic with no visual aspect for those who are listening to the podcast. But we're going to try to make it work. And I'm actually going to stand up, so I might be a little bit quieter for a second. I'm still fighting the birch beer a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, Ginger.
I'm still feeling, okay, I'm glad it's not just me.
Yeah. I feel like I need to stand back and go, cough a little bit. But we'll make it work. So I'm going to back up here a little. Whew. Okay, I still try to keep vocal, so you guys will hear me fine. But I'm going to raise my voice a little bit for those who are listening to the podcast. So here's what I want to do, and I think who'd like to help me first?
Oh, have Harrison do it because I help you
Harrison.
all the time.
Yeah, well,
I'll take my headphones off.
You're just a spectator at this point, Cindy.
Okay.
I will have you help me with one of them. So Harrison, I'm gonna do a kind of an unusual thing with you. I want you to think of a number between 1 and 100. All right. Don't make it real low because that's not very exciting. But just kind of think maybe a number that's special to you, maybe not. And if you could just tell me what that number is you're thinking of.
Tell you the number I'm thinking of?
Yep.
37.
37? Okay, you heard him. 37.
37.
Everyone knows that. 37. Okay, now I got to ask you a question, though, because people choose numbers for different reasons. So was it because it's something that it's a special day, an age? Was there anything, or did you just randomly come to it?
So that one, I'll say I was thinking this might be, one of these things where most people choose a number,
okay.
and it felt like it wasn't my first, second, or third choice.
Cool.
And I landed on it because it felt to me like a random number that people wouldn't land on. I don't know that that's the case, but that was my rationale.
I do hear a lot of numbers, I'd say between 30 and 50, and sometimes people are choosing in 2 odd numbers or 2 even numbers. But in this case, it really doesn't matter because let me tell you what I do every day. Every day when I get up in the morning, you know how you put your stuff back in your pockets from the night before? I just grab whatever random change is there and I put it in my pocket. And so today when I did that, I just turned my head, grabbed some change and shoved it in my pocket, and I didn't put anything else in that pocket. And so then I thought, I'm going to have someone choose a number today, and I don't even know how much change is in my pocket at this point, and I'm going to see if it might be that much change. So you said 37. I'm going to reach in here, in my pocket. Okay. I'm also going to pull out the pocket to show you that there's nothing else in the pocket.
Okay.
All right. So let's see how well we did there. There's a quarter, a dime, and 2 pennies in my pocket. And you can check. There's nothing else in that pocket.
For those of you who don't add, it's 37 cents.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. We didn't complete the math.
25, 35, 36, 37. All right.
Nice.
So I thought you guys might enjoy that. So, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do this later if we do it. But
okay.
So that's a form of magic called mentalism. Mm-hmm. Something Houdini wasn't known for, mostly because he hated spiritualists and mediums. Kind of had to do. The historians believe something happened when Houdini's mom died, and he was a mama's boy. He loved his mom. So he was very sad when she passed away, and he may have actually tried to contact her and then realized as a magician that, these guys are just using magic tricks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so because of that, he just started really going after them in his later life after he'd become what would be the equivalent of a pretty good millionaire today. Mm-hmm. His numbers are probably more in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, but today's, the increase of the worth of money. So it's very interesting. But he did start out as a vaudeville magician, spent a lot of time in those little places where there's a lot of singing and dancing and little juggling, little magic, little ventriloquism. And he did okay, but he really wasn't well liked. He even billed himself as the king of cards. So card tricks were really a big deal for him. And most magicians today, and you can see some clips of Houdini on YouTube, and they've heard about a lot of the things he did. They don't consider him a really amazing card magician. Mm-hmm. He was kind of adequate. But he did grow up and for a small period of time was apprenticed to a locksmith as a young man. So he knew a lot about locks. And he somehow got offered a chance to go to England to appear in some of the palladiums and theaters there. And he decided what he would do to get a little publicity is he would tell them, I want you to have a pair of handcuffs there when I get there, and I will escape from whatever handcuffs you bring. And the story is that he arrived, they presented him with these handcuffs from Scotland Yard, and he actually escaped from them rather quickly, much to the dismay of those from Scotland Yard, and so then he became the handcuff king. and as you know, went on to become probably the world's greatest escapologist. People do better magic today, but nobody was the showman that Houdini was, or the marketer. He was amazing with his marketing, and so, yeah, he had quite a life. He performed initially with his brother. Dash was his nickname, his brother, and they were both Jewish men. I believe they came from Hungary or in that area, and changed their names. He copied the name of Robert Houdin, who was the most famous magician in the world at that time, from Europe, and added an I to the end of the name, and became Harry Houdini. So he had an amazing life. The books that are in the display here, two of them are little paperbacks that you'll find in almost every library in the world, these two little Houdini paperbacks. Unfortunately, they're not really well researched, but there are a couple books in there that really have some neat things to say. And also, one of the things that I found fascinating about Houdini is that they believe that he may have actually been involved with the government as kind of a spy. And you remember, he was around in Europe pre all this war stuff. So, but they knew stuff was going on and things were going to happen, and that it looked like a world war was going to break out. So they think that he might, because he traveled everywhere. He went to Russia, he went to Germany, he hit all the European states. That he might have actually been, there's some pretty good evidence that he was part of that espionage. Yeah. So it made him quite an interesting character.
There's a lot of mystery surrounding his death.
Yes.
And it's it really is a tragic death. I mean, it certainly wasn't something that he expected. So why don't you fill us in on that?
Okay. So also a lot of different things have been about his death, and so the most famous movie about Houdini is the one that stars Tony Curtis. It was made a long time ago, and he kind of has an injury there, just a basic injury that leads to the peritonitis, that's what did kill him. But the real story is that he had told people that if he had such great muscle control that if he had the opportunity to stiffen his muscles, he could take any blow to his body. And one night after a show, he was relaxing, as a matter of fact, laying on a couch, okay? And two college guys came back, and one of them said, "Hey, Mr. Houdini, I hear that you say you can take any blow to the body." And at the same moment that Houdini said, yes or yeah, that's true, this guy punches him really low on the stomach, just right over where his appendix was, and did rupture that appendix. So Houdini was in a ton of pain, but he went on to do a show, and after the show, he was taken to the hospital in great pain, and, they just didn't have the ability to figure out what was going on as well as we do. There's no MRI or CAT scan. It's just basically maybe an X-ray of some kind. But so in a day, he developed severe peritonitis, which is is just a huge infection in your stomach area around your appendix, and he wasn't able to pull out of it, and it cost him. He died then. And the other interesting thing is that he and his wife, Bess, who he met also on the entertainment circuit, they had come up with a code word because, Houdini had all this work with these mediums, and he knew that when he died, that every one of them was going to try to bring him back in some way, his voice or something. So he gave her this code word, and she kept that code word secret for decades. And when someone would come and say, Houdini's talking to me, she would meet with them and say, okay, tell me what the code word is. And no one ever came up with the code word. There was a man later, and I can't remember, I believe sometime in the 20th century, that figured out what the code word was. And but fortunately, he didn't try to use it for nefarious purposes, but he asked her, and she said, yeah, that's it. But he said, I didn't I just came across it. Someone leaked. So that's kind of a thing. And they don't really do it much anymore. But for years, I mean, just even into the last couple of years at the Magic Castle, which is kind of a magician's club in L.A., they'd have a seance on Halloween. Every Halloween, and there might be some people who still do it, but it used to even be broadcast. It would be broadcast. You could see it on TV. So, yeah, mysterious ending to a mysterious man in a mysterious way. And but I would say, myself included, those 2 little tiny books on Houdini have inspired thousands of children to become magicians.
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost every magician will say, "Yeah, I read that book," or other books. Myself, the book that I saw when I was a kid in the library that got me interested in magic was called Spooky Magic. Yeah. So you could open up a matchbox and a finger would be in there and then it would move and all of this stuff. And I find guys all the time, oh yeah, that's the one I read too. But those 2 little Houdini books, what they caused was little brothers to get together and tie each other up and see if they could escape. Right. That's exactly what my brother and I did. And I just about strangled myself one day. Trying to be Houdini. So my act now doesn't have really a lot or any escape things in it. It did when I was younger, but he was certainly inspiring. Yeah.
I do think it's interesting looking back at pictures, like promotional pictures of Harry Houdini, compared to other people at the time. Like, we've learned a lot about health and physiology and nutrition and all in the last 100 some years. But like even looking at, a quote unquote strong man in a circus of the time, a lot of those guys were built kind of like I am. I'm not strong, but just kind of thick,
the giant.
Right? Just kind of big around a lot of times, and strong in their case, not in mine so much necessarily, but you look at Harry Houdini and he was built like a current generation MMA fighter. Like that's for real, trained, strong, not just rolling rocks around, but I mean, he was doing all kinds of stuff, isolating. I mean, I've heard some of the like exercises he would do and it's like
craziness.
You didn't see that kind of like G.I. Joe shaped guy in performance world at the time. Yeah. It seems like, I do have a question about his like actual performance style.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot about like the individual escapes and individual acts he would do, but I haven't gotten a good idea of what like an evening with Houdini would be, because you usually hear about his tricks in isolation, but I can't imagine he would get up on a stage and be like, all right, everybody, who wants to watch me do one thing real quick?
Yeah.
And so what was there, like build up, openers, or with like a headline trick or stunt, or would people pack the house just to see him pull off this one amazing feat?
Yeah. Well, yes and no. So at that time, magicians were notorious for stealing each other's effects. So let's say you're a magician like Houdini and you've created an amazing escape or even an amazing illusion. And he did create many illusions as well. He could do sleight of hand with cards and coins. He was also the king of coins. He's king of everything. King of cards, king of coins, king of hand, the handcuff king. So let's say you've made this great trick, but you got an assistant who, they're not paying me enough or da-da-da. So he leaves, and then he goes to another magician, and he gives up the secret. Mm-hmm. So that every magician had their own group of carpenters that built their effects and stuff. Mm-hmm. So the hardest part was keeping it secret. And if you see that movie, The Illusionist, it's got not The Illusionist, that's the one with the guy that was in the Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Prestige?
The Prestige, yeah.
Right.
That is really what happened a lot, and that's Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
David Bowie.
So a lot of just back and forth like that. So they were very cautious, but they would have a debut of one trick, and you might think when we see magicians today, they kind of bang, bang, bang right through effects, then they'll slow down and do an illusion. Houdini didn't do anything fast. So he would escape from something behind a curtain and sit back there and read the newspaper. He just wanted to build up the tension, especially with his water cabinet where they hung him upside down in a closet-shaped water tank. With handcuffed, upside down, his legs shackled. He could get out of that thing really fast, but he would sit on top of it and just let the numbers roll. And you've seen people recreate this in our day and age, and it's like, I can hold my breath for 3 minutes, and so they'll set the clock at 3 minutes, and the guy won't appear till 2:59, right? Houdini would do it for an hour. He would literally, and when he was put in a packing trunk and thrown into the water, which almost killed him several times because he had companies build those packing trunks for him, and sometimes they were easier than others to get out of. But he would swim to the shore, take a little break, swim back to where the trunk was, and then pop out of the water going, I've done it, and so it is true that usually the second half of his program would be one of these illusions, and it would be 45 or 50 minutes.
Wow.
And people would sit through it, and women would faint, men would scream, let him out, and he could just build that up. But he did a lot like you would see magicians to do today, and opening to magic, to music, where he'd do silks, and I'm sure he was the silk king too. All of these things, handkerchief. Only magicians call handkerchiefs silks, by the way. They're just handkerchiefs, but it's kind of a magic lingo. Now you're in on it. And then he would do some other illusions. But once he figured out that people wanted him to escape from stuff, that was his big deal.
That's a lot of trust to build with the audience, to be able to just leave the thing sitting there for 45 minutes and not have people feel like he just left, or to go
or
call the fire department
there,
or something, to not have it become an incident.
Right.
And sometimes he'd put himself back in it. They'd pull the curtain aside, and he'd still be struggling in there. They put it back. He'd climb back out. He'd get out. He was a very, very talented, extremely talented locksmith. And the jokes and most of the theories are around about times when you knew he needed a key. How did he get that key, or where did he hide it? So there's a lot of speculation about that.
Right.
But yeah, an amazing entertainer. He was kind of a very protective guy because of this stealing between magicians of effects and things. And he had a lot of rivalries with very well-known magicians. He wrote a pretty scathing book about Robert Houdini, who was the person he really loved when he was a guy. But when he got older, he felt that Robert Houdini had been way over-publicized, that he wasn't the magician that you heard he was. So, yeah, and his family, he wanted to go visit Robert Houdini's grave when he was in Europe, but he wanted to get permission. And I've never heard of getting permission to go visit someone's grave. Yeah. So he found his daughter or granddaughter was the oldest living relative, and she said no because of what he had said about her. But he went anyway. But it's kind of a polite thing. I'm going to ask first, but I'm going to go anyway. Very interesting. He burnt a lot of bridges in his life.
That's an interesting thing when it comes to entertainment, too, of if somebody's famous enough that you're tweaking their name to use for yourself based on that, even if the guy wasn't the best technical magician, he must have done something.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of I don't know, like the band Kiss, like Gene Simmons. It's I don't know anyone who's saying this Kiss song is a wonderful example of song. Somebody's going to get mad at me for saying that. There's some rabid Kiss fans out there. But it's but they're famous. Gene Simmons made a whole bunch of money, as did Paul, forget his name, the other one of the... a couple of the other guys, but that in itself is doing something right. If you're just out there getting known as a performer, I mean, getting famous without the all the technical skills is almost its own feat.
And
but
Houdini was he invented many magic tricks that people still do today, illusions.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what happened with Houdini and him, but he had some really cool contemporaries. He was pretty good friends with Conan Doyle. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
That must have gotten hard at a certain point.
It was because Conan Doyle's wife was a famous mysticism supernaturalist, performed seances. And they had that. There's very interesting letters they would write back and forth, and sometimes there was no contact between them for a while, but they were friends. And it's very interesting. He really lived during a unique time, and I remember, they had that show on TV about where they gather all the famous men together as the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Houdini could have been part of that group. And he actually was there was a series on TV about some men like that, and he was part of that. He played, I think Adrian Brody played him in that. I don't remember the name of it, but he was part of this group, and kind of the supermen of the day, so. And
for a little context, if our listeners, I'm sure a lot of them are aware, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, in addition to writing the Sherlock Holmes stories and other things as well, he's known for totally believing that the Cottingley Ferry photographs were real, which were photographs that some young girls took with some paper fairies in the forest, and claimed that they had cavorted with fairies and such in the woods. And a few people who were really all in on spiritualism as a belief believed that the fairies were real.
They wanted to
Conan
believe.
Doyle's one. They wanted to believe.
They did create some amazing photos considering the level of technology and photography.
Great photos. They're wonderful. Yeah.
No, Houdini, those are the types of people that he did not like. He'd quite often disguise himself and go to a seance, and then in the middle rip open a table, and there'd be a guy standing there pushing the table up and down like, hey, I must have fallen asleep under here. No. So he did expose a lot of some famous people. The stories about him are great. I'm sorry I didn't bring in this book, but if you want to know the name of it, please come down to the library and check out the display, and I'm sure it can be ordered or found for you to read it. It's a great book done by quite a great historian. And probably those are my favorite kind of magic books that are biographies about famous magicians from those times, and some of the stuff they did, and they traveled. Many of them died in illusions they created. You might remember the famous bullet catching illusion. I think the number is over 25 people died attempting that illusion, including the guy who made it famous, who was a man who was a white American male who dressed himself up as a Chinese magician named Chung Ling Soo. And for years, no one knew he was actually just a white guy from Brooklyn or something like that. But he actually put on the whole act, but he died doing that the bullet catching trick. And I believe there's even a book just about the bullet catching trick. I don't recall if Houdini ever attempted anything like that. He may have. I'm not a super historian on Houdini. I just have read a lot about him, but. I guess that's how you get to be a historian, isn't it? You read a lot.
You read a lot.
Yeah.
Well, there are lots of books in the library. We kind of pulled we pulled some nonfiction. We pulled some fiction books for our display, too, about magicians. There's several series. There's a series by Ellie Griffith called The Magic Men series, and the first one is The Zigzag Girl. And I think you've read that. I've read it. And then there's just some other books out there that are interesting about magic. But I wanted to talk a little bit about something that we don't have the book. I wish we did. We don't have it, but it's about the World War II. And you and I have read a book about the war magicians.
The War Magician. Oh, wow.
And it's a fascinating book. It's about World War II and the Africa campaign, and the Mescaline is the name of the magician. He was from Britain, and he created lots of illusions that fooled Rommel in the African campaign.
Total camouflage.
Is this your tank?
Yeah.
That is my tank. How did you know this was my tank?
And it's very interesting the way that they crafted it. And I was reading up on it just to remember about it. But a lot of the guys that he brought in, they were builders. They weren't necessarily magicians.
Artists.
They were artists. They were builders.
Technical
They
artists
were
and
ad
painters.
campaign guys. They were advertising people. And he brought them together to fool the enemy into thinking that the British Army was bigger than it was. And then he also, the biggest illusion that I remember from the book was he moved the Alexandria harbor.
Yes, he moved the entire harbor with fake boats.
With fake boats and lights and all kinds of things to fool the German bombers that were trying to shut down the Alexandria.
And they did attack it.
And they did, and they
attacked his
wrong
cardboard
place.
boats. And,
That's awesome.
yeah. So mescaline was from a family of magicians. His great-grandfather was the famous mescaline magician. But yeah, as he came down, when everybody went into the service and they realized what he did, they gave him, I think he was a captaincy, and then they gave him his own unit. And that's what they do. And sometimes they would have very little notice to go out and set something up, but they were always back there painting, and so they spent a lot. When they had free time, they would go into Cairo, which of course was neutral. It was like the Switzerland of Africa, and so there are a lot of Germans there, and there's a lot of spies there, and they were very cautious about. They were not allowed to talk about what they did. They couldn't even tell their fellow servicemen what they did in the service because it was so secret. But yeah, the book is really good. It's just called The War Magician.
Right.
And I don't remember who the author was. But
I would guess, as is the case for a lot of like the big stage illusionists, I would imagine it's the assistants are doing most of the actual work.
Well, in this case, they were all in on this.
Yeah.
I mean, he
did a lot of the planning.
Was he wearing a tuxedo when he did
no.
this?
He did
Or
not.
was he wearing a standard kind of combat
No, he
dress?
was totally a serviceman. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. I'm just,
But,
create tanks and houses but the ship thing is just when you read about that port that they just totally recreated. It's just
cool.
Boggles your mind.
I think one of the big campaigns that they describe in there too is that they had created these portable tanks. So they were the illusion of a tank, like it's almost like a stand-up cutout, of this tank, because they couldn't see. They were far enough out of range that all they could see were the shapes. Mm-hmm. And then they
folded up and they were portable.
Right, they were
Someone
all
fold up the
portable.
tanks, would you? Okay.
And they threw them on trucks and they would move them, but I think in one of them they caused Rommel to shift his army so that they could flank them.
That was their mission. Yeah.
And it was just, I mean, it's pretty impressive what they pulled off with, boards and saws and artists. And it's a lot of fun to read. It's a fun book. And he really, he had a family and he went back and continued to be a magician after the war.
Yeah.
But one of the things in the article said that all of the stuff that he did is classified and is still classified and won't be released until 2046. And then you can figure out what he did.
Yeah, in England.
So.
Yeah, and that's interesting just to bring up that people who have the hobby of magic, there are lots of different ways that it's used. Some people are magic creators. That's what they like to do, and they don't perform even. But they create. Others are historians. Others are people who are just kind of everyday magicians doing fairs and, libraries and schools and public presentations. And then you have those AGT guys, America's Got Talent, who want to be famous someday. And, so they're doing that and traveling. And here in Oregon, we get, especially at the Holt Center in Eugene, we get several magicians, big magician shows that come through every year. And there's several coming up this spring. Also, we do have a pretty good number of excellent magicians who perform around
the
Oregon.
Northwest,
Yeah. And some of them travel all over. I have a couple friends that they travel and do state fairs all over. And, state fairs kind of follow the weather, right? So in Florida and Tennessee, they have state fairs almost all year round, so they can actually go and go different places, and some travel a lot, some don't. I kind of stay to my state if I can. I do spend quite a bit of time out of the state in the summer, but and I do camps. I'm at a lot of camps, and they're all over the place. But yeah, it's a fun hobby, you know.
And there's lots.
And some
of,
are collectors too.
Right. Well, you are.
Especially, oh no, I'm just a hoarder. But David Copperfield has a giant collection of magic that not very many people are ever going to get to see because he's very careful with it. He has this huge warehouse, and you think of warehouse, think of Indiana Jones warehouse, the boxes and stuff. But he's got all these displays set up, and there's videos about it on. But and so he's an amazing collector, and I have several friends who just collect, and they have never done a magic trick, but they're just amazed by it. So it's a fun hobby. Another book in the display is the Mark Wilson Course of Magic, which I would recommend for anybody who would like to start the hobby. And it's just a really great book. And I actually have an extra copy, and if the library doesn't have one, I will donate that copy so that you guys will have it, because it's when I was a little boy, Mark Wilson was a big performer, and he would send you, if you signed up for his club, he'd send you a magic box every month, and it had lessons in it, and you kept all those lessons and you put them in a binder, like a notebook. And then after he had done that for 10 or 15 years, he finally just went ahead and printed the whole thing. It's a giant book, and you'll see it in there. It's a big hardback book, and a lot of people have use that as a training guide. It tells you how to do little sleight of hand stuff all the way up to some illusions that you can make yourself. They're more stage type. So I've made a lot of things out of that book in my life.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
I have to ask, because I don't know how many magicians you know, Harrison, but
I know one.
a lot. You know one. Well, you know Brett. But there's a lot of, and I'm more of an observer. So I've been married to the magic man here for over 40 years, and he's done magic since I met him. And he did a magic trick to ask my dad if he could marry me. So that's a story for another time.
It worked.
Yeah. However, there's a lot of different kind of magic, and there's the stage magic, and there's street magic, and there's
close-up magic.
And so
parlor magic.
I have a favorite stage magician. I also have a favorite close-up magician, or more kind of the flim-flam man kind of thing. And it's probably the same as Brett would pick too. But do you have a favorite magician, Harrison, or a favorite type of magic? Which appeals to you more?
I like close-up magic. I think I enjoy that, just, the same reason anyone else does, trying to figure out what just happened there.
Right.
Especially right in front of your
right
face.
in front of your face.
I really appreciate
Where
like
did
the
that
physical
37 cents come from?
I appreciate like the physical skill of being able to pull that off. I think Teller is probably my favorite, because he has such a unique role in his act, and also I don't know. I find his perspective on things and the way he has discussed, when he talks,
right?
Like he's a really good communicator too on the things that I've.
Yeah, he's well thought of as a scholar of magic too.
Yeah. So I think that would probably be. I also. I appreciate Chris Angel. I have seen him perform in Vegas with my wife. It's so goofy, like his whole deal. But that's fun.
He really encouraged magic,
But as far as Blaine. But I think I would put Teller up there. For me,
I do like Penn and Teller. My favorite stage magician is no longer performing, and now his name has escaped me. Who's the guy who doves the doves?
Lance Burton.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lance Burton is he had some pretty amazing tricks, and it was the back I mean, what, the 80s, 90s? And so there's a certain way that he performs, and it's very flamboyant, but he could produce birds from all over the place. And I never could, I mean, I understand technically how it's supposed to work, but it just seems so odd to me that birds would just continue to come.
Yeah, there was a great, like, popular culture moment for, like, the big stage magician.
Yeah.
It feels
Oh,
like in
yeah.
that sort of 80s, early 90s.
Copperfield,
Yeah.
Lance Burton.
Siegfried and Roy had
Siegfried and
the
Roy, yeah.
tigers. Did they do magic, or was it
Oh,
just
no,
tigers?
yeah, they did magic.
It's a magic show.
But
It's
it's a
just
whole
they didn't
different
make
kind
ladies appear; they made tigers.
Yeah, they had a lot of tigers.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to watch magic, I love comedy magic, so that's my favorite. And probably my favorite is Harry Anderson and Brett.
Yeah.
I like Brett.
I'm a comedy magician.
Harry Anderson, he has a couple of specials back in the day that are just, he's just a con artist. And if you read his book, he wrote a book about his life.
Couple books, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just funny because he really was kind of a con artist and talks about getting his jaw broken on the street because he fooled
going
somebody.
to jail.
And, so there's just, and then of course he went on to be in Cheers and had his own show. And
Now, he didn't get his jaw broken because he tricked
I thought
somebody.
it
It's
was-
because he took somebody's money in the process of tricking
That's
them.
what I mean. The 3-card money.
Yeah, he played. Yeah, he's always been kind of a favorite of ours, as he's no longer with us.
No. That's died too young.
Yeah, he wrote a little small paperback on some of the old cons, from way back when, and he teaches you how to do them, and then shares some of those stories.
Right.
He also has a book called Wise Guy, which is really hard to find, and it's very expensive now because it's out of print. And he tells stories. Did a lot of magic in New Orleans, and also. Some of his start he got here in Ashland, Oregon. He would do performances
right.
before plays would start.
Right, that's right. I forgot
And
he was in
he did a
Ashland.
lot of stuff here. He's kind of a California guy, Oregon, but he really loved Louisiana, and he lived there until Hurricane Katrina did all the damage there, and then he moved, actually, he's North Carolina, I think, somewhere on the East Coast, and that's where he passed away, yeah.
He tried to help after Katrina. I remember he tried to help rebuild.
And those who don't know him as a magician know him from Cheers or Night Court or Dave's World.
Right.
I remember him mostly from Night Court.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he did a lot of magic on Night Court, too. That's kind of his shtick.
He did his con man stuff on Cheers, and so for the first couple of years, about every 3 episodes, he'd show up as Harry the Hat, and they'd always try to kick him out before he took someone's money, but never successfully.
And he usually fooled Woody on Cheers.
And he was also very popular on Saturday Night Live, where the famous episode was that he did a trick where he appeared to eat a guinea pig. And after it was over, those who really loved animals and thought he had actually eaten a guinea pig just flooded the New York telephone lines and actually stopped telephone conversation. And so he was supposed to, so Lauren Michaels, who was in charge, begged him to go out and show the guinea pig. And he didn't do it. Instead, he went out, and the guinea pig's name was Skippy. And instead, he went out and he said some things about magic and it being fooling, and then he said, but pound per pound, there's nothing like Skippy. That's all he said. Yeah.
Because but you don't give away your trick.
Yeah,
And-
he didn't even want to show. I think I would have shown the guinea pig. That wouldn't have bothered me. So, yeah, it's quite an interesting entertainment thing, and but magicians are quite friendly, and there are some exceptions, but they're quite willing to teach people magic. Not always to teach them the magic they're doing, but to encourage a beginner. Or I know when I was a little guy, I had to write a paper in 6th grade about being a magician. They wanted you to write about what you wanted to be. And our teacher actually knew a magician, gave me the address, and I wrote him, and he wrote me right back a really wonderful letter. And boy, that was really encouraging. And then my dad who was very artistic, painted some illusions for a friend of his in the Kiwanis Club that did illusions. And as payment for the painting, he gave my dad the plans for the illusions. And somewhere or another in some sordid garage sale in my life, they vanished. But that was really neat, and he showed me how to get in and out of them and things. So that was very inspiring to me. So they're very open.
Yeah,
Magicians
yeah,
are.
you can
I mean,
learn
there's
to be a
some that are
magician if you
they're
want.
still classified like poor Harry Houdini versus all of Thurston and all the guys he was
Right.
in competition with. So, but yeah, and America's Got Talent, I think, has brought magic back. I think it was kind of going after that rush of big stage magicians, and then there was a real hit with street magicians, and then some guys learned to combine both, and that's what you'll see on America's Got Talent. You'll see a lot of mentalism, but blown up, on the big screen, and so there's a lot of neat things that happen there.
Yep.
Anyway,
All right. Well, I don't have any more questions. Do you have any more questions, Harrison?
No, not at the moment.
well, happy Magic Month.
Yes. Happy Magic Month. It's
Happy
the beginning
Magic
of the
Month.
Halloween season.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Counting
much
down.
again for being on the show.
Yeah, I do still have some open dates in October if anybody is looking for a magic show
Magician.
or anything. Very few, but a few. So
Yep. All right.
I'm always happy.
Well,
to
thanks for
go.
coming.
You bet.
I twisted
Thank you
your arm.
guys. Happy Magic Month again.
Happy Magic Month. We will talk to y'all next week.
Bye.
Bye. The Free Bin is a production of the Toledo Public Library, which is part of the Lincoln County Library District in beautiful Lincoln County, Oregon. Writing by Cindy Bilek, Sophia Kahn, and Harrison Baker. Original music by Harrison Baker. Editing by Harrison Baker and Sophia Kahn. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect those of any organization they represent. Good night.